Laps of the track and a field of 18. And lining up for Great Britain, Jo Pavey, defending champion. One of the gilt-edged moments of the championships 2 years ago. And Jo Pavey, at the age of 42, seeking to retain the title, which he won in 2014. Good field here. Sara Moreira, his focus has shifted in recent times rather more to the road. Finished third in the New York Marathon a couple of years ago. She's in this field. Alexi Pappas there of Greece. Young American woman who qualifies for Greece by virtue of her grandfather. And you can see this is just the inside group of athletes. There are half dozen athletes who'll be running a little bit wider, one of them wearing 187, Jess Andrews, who's already qualified to compete for Great Britain at the Olympic Games in Rio. And the home crowd warming to the involvement of their own Jip Bustenberg, the European under-23 champion from last year. There is Sara Moreira. Alongside Jo Pavey. Pavey with much to prove. Had a bad night at Parliament Hill towards the end of May when the UK trial was run. Was under the weather. Finished down the field there. And Pavey aiming for what would be her 5th Olympic Games appearance. Here's Yasmin Khan of Turkey, once known as Vivian Gematai of Kenya. Change of nationality, change of name. All set to go. First track final. The long black socks there being worn by Jip Bustenberg. Just 22. She's run 31:35. Championship record, Paula Radcliffe in Munich 14 years ago. Jess Andrews perhaps lines up here as the most prominent of the British athletes. She won that UK trial on the track at Parliament Hill on one corner of Hampstead Heath. Running just a second ever race over 10,000 metres, having decided to shift her focus to track and field. But it is Yasmin Khan, the former Kenyan, who has the lead, as the rest of this 18-strong field cut across.
Well, it looks a reasonable pace early on, and Jo Pavey getting into contention. Look, she wants a good race here. She's going to establish a pace on them. That's absolutely clear to me. She doesn't want them dawdling around. Khan in second place hanging on, and the rest are going to have to move. They are getting strung out a little bit, which gives you some indication that Jo Pavey is determined to make this a good, solid race, and not something that's going to be down to the 1,500-metre runners at the end.
Pavey not the only 40-something in the field. Just 3 off the back, you can see the blue vest of France, Christelle Dornay. She just a few months younger than the Briton, but it is Jo Pavey, defending champion, out in front. Khan of Turkey is in second place. Moreira will always remain as close to the front as she can. She's there in third place. Veronica Inglesi of Italy is in fourth, and there's already something like 20 to 25 metres from front to back.
Yeah, that was the plan for Jo. She was going to really make them race properly. There was going to be no hanging back. She's not allowed Khan to get into the front and establish the tenor of the race. She wants to do it the way she wants to do it. She is the defending champion. She's the most experienced athlete in the field, and of course When you're 42, you've got a fair bit of experience, but she's such a good a servant of British athletics over the years. She certainly is. Once again, we have a look at the long jump, and gives us an opportunity to keep up to date with that long jump as well. And that's one around about 6:40, I guess, from Vesta. 6:40-ish, 6:50-ish. Spanovic 6:90. Good approach. Hits the board well. It's very simple technique, but that looks to be around about 6:50 from here. Good lift. Very simple, basic technique. Long shape in the middle, no rotations. Good leg shoot, moving the body forward. Now, what's she done? (6:53), 6:39. Well, actually, that second jump looked as good as the first one, but not quite so.
So Jo Pavey taking it out in front. She's gone through the first kilometre, and her Olympic hopes really hanging by a thread. The word coming from the authorities in Great Britain that she's going to have to get somewhere around about the world's top 24 to merit selection for the Olympic Games. Now, 24th at the moment in the world, 31:37.99, the Olympic qualifying standard, 32:15. But all that Pavey will be focusing on here is putting in a bold bid to retain the title. And you can be assured that her defence here will see her give 100%. She never does any less. So it's Pavey out in front. Can the former Kenyan representing Turkey in second? Moreira of Portugal is there in third place. At the moment, about 14 women, all within about 10 metres of the leader.
Mihambo in the long jump. 6:29 in the first round, and that is much better. That's around 6:50. Mihambo of Germany. Let's have a look. Oh, just shy of the board too, so a little bit more left in the tank there, I would think. Very quick on the runway, gets a good lift, works hard off the board. Now let's see what she's done.
Number 6 of last year's World Championships,
6:55, and that puts her into second place, just ahead of Vesta, who you saw there. This is Cartha. The German, the best of 6:66 actually as a performance. Didn't qualify in the European Championships in 2010, and she jumped 6:61 on that occasion and didn't qualify, so she's fourth in the German Championships this year. That's not a bad jump either. Just catching up on her best performance. Reached a little bit for the board, didn't she? Which may have... she had to really work to get off the board. Now let's have a look and see what the scoreboard says. 6:46, I think that was. Let's have a double check on that. The 6:46 it was. That was her best jump.
Well, Yasmin Khan has made a bold bid to go out in front. Khan has already run 31:30 this year, and she's opened up something like an 8 or a 9 metre lead on the Briton Jo Pavey. There in second place. It's Moreira who's in third. Look out for Caroline Grovdal, the Norwegian. She's there in fourth place at the moment, has got very good recent form. Dulce Félix, the second of the Portuguese, perhaps the leading Portuguese in many respects here. She at the moment in fifth place. Jess Andrews of Great Britain, the winner of the British trial back in May at Parliament Hill. She at the moment one off the back of that leading group. A dozen women, 11 of them chasing here. Khan, the former Kenyan. But at the moment they're letting her go, and she's opening up a lead of something like 15 metres now. It's becoming quite handy. Pavey in second place. Moreira is there in third. Grovdal of Norway is in fourth. Felix, the second of the Portuguese, is there in fifth. Also in that leading group, Sara Lahti of Sweden. The Dutch girl is also there. That's Jip Vastenberg, the European under-23 champion from last year. Andrews at the moment towards the back of that group, but Khan has really shaken this up. And without, I think, really obviously making such an obvious bid for this, she's opened up an advantage now. Well, it's 25, 30 metres, something like that.
Well, it's a little trip almost there for the local girl, but survived. And just for Vastenberg, just looking around for the moment. And whilst the rest go, there is now 40 metres or so, probably more. This woman here, as you said, formerly a Kenyan, Vivian Cheptomai, has lived in Turkey since March 2015. Got a citizenship in May last year.
Well, when they come round this time, it will be with 18 laps to go. So we're still, well, we are not quite a third's distance. But it is Khan out in front. The Briton Pavey is there in second place. Also in that leading group, the Irish girl, the two-time European cross-country champion, Fionnuala McCormack. She's in the middle of that group. Well, has just slipped back actually towards the back of it. Jess Andrews of Great Britain taking much closer orders. She's now in seventh place, just on the shoulder of the Dutch girl Vastenberg. Yasmin Khan in this 10,000 metre final has been built up to something like 50 metres now. We're into the second third of the race, 16 laps to go. So still something in the region of about 4 miles, so an awfully long way. Jo Pavey still running there in second place. Felix into third, followed by her Portuguese teammate Sara Moreira, who's there in fourth place. Veronica Inglesi of Italy is now in fifth, just in front of the tall figure of Jip Vastenberg of the Netherlands. It's then the Briton Jess Andrews. Andrews, who these days lives in Andorra, gets the opportunity to do an awful lot of running at altitude there, and it's certainly benefited her. Andrews is still right in the middle of that group, but it's getting to the point now where they're rather dependent on the leader, the former Vivian Cheptomai, finding things very tough in the second half of this race, because she's out on her own, but that lead now has been built up to something like 60 or 65 metres.
Yeah, we saw her in Rome. She was in the 5,000 metres. She came sixth in that race. So she's quality, isn't she?
Yeah, she's mixed it with the best of the East Africans on the Diamond League circuit. So this sort of tempo will really pose no real fears to her. What perhaps is maybe slightly unusual territory is the fact that she's out on her own so early.
That's Jasmine Sawyers of Great Britain in the long jump now. Had a no jump in the first round, 6:48 in the second, and that looks about the same. So she'll be in, well, third place so far, and she needs 6:60 to get automatic. 6:49 with a 2.1 meter per second wind behind, so it's a very generous wind in that long jump.
Well, the main pack have started to respond, or at least the two Portuguese have. Dulce Félix and her teammate Sara Moreira, and they've taken Grovdal, the Norwegian, with them. And the news follows of Jo Pavey, well, not so good. She hasn't been able to respond from this response, if you like, from the two Portuguese at the front of this pack.
Well, this has become a demonstration, hasn't it? With 14 laps to go, it's still a difficult task, but there's been no erosion of that lead whatsoever thus far. And when you look at the quality of Khan, 31.30 this year, just inside 31.31, so she's a talented athlete, and one which really is going to take some beating on this day. She heads the European list coming into these championships, and Grovdal, in fact, in second place on the European rankings as well. She's in third place at the moment. And the tall figure of Vastenberg has dropped back into the middle of that chasing group, and there are two separate things going on here. A demonstration at the front and a race some 40 or, in fact, I think it's increased to about 50 or 60 meters.
Well, she's kicked again actually on this lap, there's no doubt about that, because the Portuguese started to close that gap just a little bit to around about 50 meters, but it's now gone to 65, perhaps even 70. We can get some sort of gauge on it now as the chasers there, led by Dulce Félix, just come into the home straight. Yeah, that's 70 meters, could even be more now. Can leading by perhaps the biggest margin of the race so far. Moreira's moved into second place. It's Felix in third. Grovdal of Norway is fifth. McCormack of Ireland taking rather closer order. She's now moved into fifth place. Just behind her is the Italian Jo Pavey, getting towards the back of that group now. Jess Andrews is the leading of the Britons at the moment, and just beginning to get tailed off at the back of that second group is Terhouse Gebra, wearing the vest of Spain, but she a former Ethiopian. But now look at it. It is a lead of what, 80 meters. It's pushing on towards 100, and if there is any chance at all of these chasers, surely they have to react now. Getting towards the end of the opening half of the race, so she is going to be on her own for quite a while, is Jasmine Can. She's still got another, what, 14, 15 minutes, something like that, of the race to go.
Yeah, and you just noticed the trailing group. I think they have closed a little bit. The Portuguese really made an effort to push on with that trailing group. With Fionnuala McCormack, knee Britain, of course, we know of many years over the country as Fionnuala Britain. But really, they are trying so hard. They may have made a little bit of an inroad here, but there's still a fair way to go.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it? It was 80 meters a couple of, well, a minute or so ago. I reckon it's now down to something like 70 or 75, so it's still a big advantage, but it's not yet what you described so early on in the race as we get towards halfway now. This is the halfway point, 5,000 meters. It's not what you describe as a winning lead.
That's Vadlec, incidentally, on the right from the Czech Republic in the javelin. And that's a qualification just short of 85 meters, 85.06. So he's qualified by right. Krukowski of Poland, look, a no throw in the first round. This is his second round throw. Needs 81 and a bit, 81.50. Oh, he's got it as well. Well, the top 12 go through to the final. Really hammers that, doesn't he? Look at that. Terrific strain on the shoulder. Hits it with the chest, follows with that active right arm, implies force over the longest range possible, and the thumbs up, 81.88. He's got 38 more centimeters than he needed, but he's qualified.
So the lead here of Yasmin Khan, I reckon it's something like 75 meters. It has ebbed and flowed between about 80 or 90 and 65 or 70. But this is a crucial period. They're into the second half of the race. Khan just lapping athletes, and this will certainly give her a lift. These athletes well and truly out of it and running, of course, at a much slower tempo than the pursuing group. But certainly the fact that she can see athletes ahead of her and she can pass them will be something of a lift to the Turk. And she's coming around now with, what, 100 meters to go on this lap, and then another 11 circuits. So 4,500 meters to go. So, Khan coming through. In fact, it's now 10 laps to go. So just over 4,000 meters for Yasmin Khan. The clock ticking on, stopping there at 18:37 at 6,000 meters. The lead, well, it may just have shortened a little bit. I reckon it could be 65, maybe 70. It's still a big advantage. Felix is there in second place. McCormack of Ireland is now in third. Moreira in fourth. Grobdahl in fifth. Good run at the moment from Jess Andrews. Certainly in with a chance of a medal here. She's lying in sixth place. There's then quite a big gap to, among others, the Norwegian, or should I say the Dutch athlete. So the home crowd going a little bit quiet at the moment. But it's Yasmin Khan, imperious here, and we'll try and get another idea of just how big that advantage is in a moment. I reckon it's up to about 70 meters again. Yeah, it's gone up again. She's put in a little bit of a push, and certainly the rest behind were using each other quite well. Grobdahl just tucked onto the back of the two Portuguese now. Jo Pavy's way back now. She must be 120, 130 meters behind the leader now, and she must be about 30 meters, as you can see her now, just behind Jip Westenberg of the Netherlands, the tall figure, the orange top. There she is. And also behind Inglese of Italy. Well, the lap counter is down to single figures now. It's 9 laps to go. So 3,600 now, 3,500 meters to go for Yasmin Khan. That'll be another source of encouragement. Jess Andrews is still hanging on well. Chance of a medal for Great Britain. She's now lying in sixth place, just behind Fionnuala McCormack. In second and third at the moment, it's the Portuguese Moreira from Dulce Félix. Another good run from Caroline Grobdahl, the woman who broke Greater Weitz's Norwegian mile record very recently. So for a 10,000 meter runner, she's got decent leg speed. You can see there Jo Pavey still working hard, but she's now effectively in a third group of athletes. There you can see Crystal Dornay, who's about to be lapped. She's the 41-year-old, the marathon specialist, won the marathon at these championships 2 years ago, wearing the dark blue of France, just being passed there by Khan, who kicks off her. And she comes through now with 8 laps to go, does the leader. And that lead, well, maybe just reducing a little bit again, with Dulce Félix taking over second place from Sara Moreira. Grobdahl looking strong, and look at Jess Andrews maybe sensing back there at the moment in fifth place. There's a little gap opening, and Andrews, what a story it would be if the Briton, the very inexperienced Briton, could get the first medal for Great Britain at these championships, but she's still got a fair amount of work to do. Yeah, she's just being overtaken by Fionnuala McCormack, as we're looking at Mihambo again in this long jump competition. 6:29, 6:55, and that is a very good performance. And this is a very good jump, isn't it? Spanovic has gone a long time ago at 6:90. 6:60 was the target. 6:76. So that's in second place, the season's best, and that is a qualification, certainly. Now, what can Senja Bolta of Estonia do? 6:32, a no jump, and now an opportunity. Oh, and that's good. That's very good. Very good indeed. And that looked to be beyond
650, well beyond 650, perfect on the board. Have a look again at this. Oh yes, attacked the board well, got good lift on it. She was pretty low in trajectory because she was hitting the board so fast. But that's a very, very good jump indeed. Now, how good? And this is certainly qualified with that. There's no question about that, surely. 664. That'll do.
Just a sense that there might be a final twist in this women's 10,000 metre final. Yasmin Khan has still got a very handy advantage, but Dulce Félix, the Portuguese, the winner of this title back in 2012, there she is in Helsinki. She's out now on her own in pursuit, and that gap, well, it's certainly been cut just a little bit. It's down to something like 65 metres. It's still a long, long way to go. 2,400 metres remaining for the leader. Felix now coming through. It's down to 60 metres, no doubt about that. Mulheres there in third. Grovdal of Norway's in fourth. McCormack of Ireland is fifth. Andrews of Great Britain is sixth. Jo Pavey, what a bold effort it is from the Briton. She's having something of a second wind here. She's now into seventh place, just in front of the Italian Inglesi. But Khan has been out on her own now for a long, long time. And Dulce Félix is starting, perhaps just to close that gap a little bit. It's round about 60 metres. It's still, well, it's a winning lead, you'd have to say, at the moment. And time is running out with the Turk. Well, I think she's maybe just picked it up a little bit again as the Turk, sensing that that lead was just being reduced a little bit, and she just takes a little look over her left shoulder there, and she sees that Felix has picked up the cadence and once again is closing in on the Turk.
Yeah, there's about, what, 45, 50 metres now. And I just wonder how much of that deficit she can make up in these last 5 laps in this race. But Dulce Félix really making a big effort here. She's flat out as far as she can, and there's about 40 metres now. So it's possible, it really is possible, unless, of course, the Turkish athlete starts to run again. And when she senses it, it's about 50, 60 metres. I know it's a long, long way, but Felix is determined. You look on her face as she went past us, below us. She was so determined. And into the back straight, she's now halfway down the back straight as Khan reaches the 200 metres. Look at this. You don't get more determined than this. Grovdal in the background is well behind her, but still making an effort too. But Felix is flat out, just trying to get back to the former Kenyan, the transferee Yasmin Khan.
And Jess Andrews at the moment, well, she's something like 15 metres away from the medal positions, but she's putting in a great run, is the UK champion. But Khan, well, I wonder if she's sensed that she needs to find something more. This time she'll come round with 4 laps to go, so we're into the final mile. And Felix, well, she's working incredibly hard, and this is bound to have taken something out of her. So even if she can get close to Khan, will she have anything left to deliver? Grovdal has moved into third place at the expense of Moreira, who's now fourth. McCormack running well too. She perhaps is sensing there might be a medal here for Ireland. Andrews, well, what a relatively short career she's had at this level, but she's putting in a fine performance. Pavey is now, what, about 25 metres or so behind her British teammate. But Khan still looking relatively relaxed. You can see there, just coming into focus, Felix. Grovdal is also on the back straight. Let's get some idea of what this gap is. Well, at the moment, Khan hasn't yet reached the top of the bend, so it's less than 50 metres, that lead that she's got. But this time she'll come round. It's another 400 metres she's got through. And Felix, well, she's closer than she has been, I reckon, since about the 4th or the 5th circuit, something like that.
Makes you wonder if she'd have started just a little bit earlier, she might well have got close enough to really believe. But she is absolutely trying. She's not given up this race at all. So you can see Khan now, it's about 40 meters behind her now, and with 3 laps to go, just less than 3 laps to go now, she's had to work eyeballs out. Grovdal also going really strongly. She's about 25 meters or so behind the Portuguese of Dulce Félix. Into the back straight now for the leader, and I'm not sure that gap has decreased any.
Well, it was 40 meters, I think, when the Portuguese came through with 3 laps to go, but time is running out. It's now the last kilometre, 9 kilometres down here for Yasmin Khan, the former Kenyan. Dulce Félix gritting her teeth, digging in deep. It's certainly now less than 40, but it's certainly rather closer to 40 than it is 30. And Khan, well, showing no signs of wilting, and that's going to have to happen if the Portuguese is to get close to her. But it's Turkey in the lead. Felix for Portugal in second place. Grovdal for Norway lying in third. There's then a long gap to Fionnuala McCormack, so it would appear that the medals are safe in terms of Turkey, Portugal and Norway. So Felix gritting the teeth, it's hurting her, but I reckon that gap has just closed a little bit. It's not enough at the moment, but Grovdal very safe in third place. But Felix, I think, has narrowed it down now to about 35 meters. What does Khan have left? It's going to really hurt for this last, 2 meters or so for the leader. She's done so much work, which means she's been out on her own for an awfully long time.
You've got to say, you give a lot of credit to Viz. You saw them in the same shot for the first time there, and that distance is a little bit more than that picture betrays, but she looks up at the screen. She's seen exactly what the score is, but Felix has really made a big effort, and really the second half of the race has been pretty quick. Really has been quick.
But Khan,
she's seen her.
Again, just taking another look over that shoulder, and she's got into the habit, coming into the home straight, of doing that. And you do maybe feel that she does have this under control. This time it will be the bell, and that gap is, well, just a little more than 30 meters now, but surely this is a winning lead, and that is the celebration. She knows that underneath it all she's got enough. The Portuguese starting to look over her shoulder to the left. And here is going to be the first gold medalist of the 2016 European Championships. Yasmin Khan, the former Vivian Gematai of Kenya, switching nationality, changing the name, and now she's kicking on. And suddenly that gap has got more like 40 meters, maybe even 45. And now you kind of get the sense that Dulce Félix has even got a bit of a race on to hang on to the silver medal, because Grovdal, the Norwegian, is really having a blinder here. But it's going to be gold for Turkey. And let's be honest, this is a country which in the world of track and field has been under a little bit of a cloud in recent years. But this is a good news story for Yasmin Khan and for the Turks. They're going to claim the first gold at these championships. It has been almost gun to line. Dulce Félix, what a brave and bold effort. A richly deserved silver medal. And a first medal at these championships for Norway. Caroline Grovdal gets the bronze. Fionnuala McCormack of Ireland comes through for fourth place. Joe Pavey, what a bold effort. Came here a long way short of her best in some respects, and I suppose at the age of 42 passed it in others, but it has been a wonderful performance from her. Andrews of Great Britain has come through, and I suppose in her own mind there, Joe Pavey has maybe set the record straight, at least in a British perspective. She's got back and she's beaten the woman who beat her at the UK Championships.
Well, Yasmin Khan of Turkey came here with a 31:30.58. She's gone away with a 31:12, and that is a big improvement for her. And It was a very, very good effort by Dulce Félix. She just left it a little bit late to make the assault. But certainly, when you look at Carolina Grovdal of Norway, what a good performance she had. She was always there or thereabouts. There she is. And in the end, she was closing down on Dulce Félix, who put so much effort in to try and catch the Turkish athlete Yasemin Khan. And a lot of credit also to Fionnuala McCormack coming into 4th place. But Joe Pavey, what an effort in the final stages. This is the point at which Khan took over. Joe Pavey had established the tenor of the race right from the start. And in the end, this woman just took the race by the scruff of the neck, moved away, and had leads of up to about 80 meters at one stage.
So here is confirmation of that result from the women's 10,000 meters. Goal for Turkey, Yasemin Khan, 31:12.86. A very fine performance indeed from the youngster. Dulce Félix, it was a brave bid, but in the end it was too little too late, coming through for the silver and bronze, going